We don't like putting Tess to sleep. I don't mean for the evening. Putting her under, sedating her with anesthesia. We had to do it to her recently though, for reasons I'll get to in a minute. But for now, what you need to know is Tess plus anesthesia equals badness. When you're dealing with an ultra-rare disease, you're in uncharted territory. Tess's disease is ultra-rare. Like people say, oh, our disease is really rare. We only have like 40,000 people in the US. And I'm like, oh yeah, how about 25 in the world, period? That's right. USP7 has, as of right now, 25 confirmed cases in the world. The US Olympic volleyball team has more people than we do. So when medical stuff comes up, it's hard to know the right thing to do. Doctors be like, what does the literature say? What have others done in this situation? Oh, this situation is totally new and there's no literature on it? Well, shit. But one thing you can do is look to other diseases that are sort of similar or related, like Prader-Willi syndrome, or PWS. It's in the USP7 family, closely linked, and still rare, but much more common. And that's how our endocrinologist here in Maine decided what to do when Tess wasn't growing anymore. She looked at Prader-Willi patients and did for Tess what she's done for those PWS kids in the past. That meant prescribing Tess growth hormone, but it also meant making sure that the lack of growth wasn't being caused by something much scarier, namely a brain tumor. In order to check if someone has a brain tumor, you have to do an MRI of their brain, kind of like an X-ray. Look inside, check it out for lesions and tumors and such, and just rule it out. Problem is, in order to take an MRI of someone's brain, they have to hold extremely still, which you only do under anesthesia. Tess's history with anesthesia is not excellent. Once, she developed an aspiration pneumonia, got all this fluid and crap in her lungs and had to spend the night in the hospital. May have even had a stroke when all that was going on, but we're never gonna know for sure. So we were nervous about the brain MRI. And there we are with Tess. We meet with the anesthesiologist, talk about our fears and the T-Bird's history, and then this nurse pokes her head in from the hallway. She's trying to get my wife's attention, so she goes, "Mom? Mom?" Which, side note, I get why nurses do this with parents. They got dozens of patients and people running around and they don't have time to learn names or anything like that, but I always have to resist the urge to go, wait a second, you're in your 50s and my wife is your mom? Side note, this definitely goes in that category of wise ass comments, like when the waiter greets us at our table and says, how's everybody doing tonight? And I want to say, well, I don't know how everybody's doing, but I can tell you the four of us are just grand. These always spring to mind, mostly because I am a wise ass. And maybe they'd be funny, but they're probably not a great idea to say. I think I'm just irked at being ignored by this nurse. Like, I'm there too, in the room. She could easily say, Mom and Dad, but she doesn't. Ask my family, total pet peeve of mine. TV shows and commercials that paint the dad of the house as this total buffoon who can't even tie his kids' shoes or make them toast, let alone make any kind of contribution parenting-wise. Or even worse, any reference to me as a dad staying at home with my own kids while my wife is out doing something, and someone saying I'm babysitting. You can't babysit your own kids. Someone asks me, are you babysitting? I always say, no, I couldn't possibly. I've got my hands full with my own kids here. This is because I am a wise ass. Anyway, we're going in soon to put Tess to sleep for her MRI, but there's a small issue. See, her endocrinologist wants to get some blood tests, and Tess is really hard to get blood from. Her blood vessels are so hard to find that they have to use ultrasound in order to find them. I'm serious. And because it's so hard to draw her blood, our endocrinologist has arranged for it to be done while she's sedated. But the orders haven't come through. So we need to call her endocrinologist and get those faxed over. So the nurse asks us to make that call from a landline right next to the bed where Tess is going to be given her anesthesia. I step up, I grab the phone, I dial, and here's where the nurse does something that I really don't like. She looks through me like I'm not there. And she focuses on my wife and keeps calling her to come over and do this, to handle the phone call, to get the faxed orders. Even though I'm already doing it. The nurse treats me like I'm not even there, like I couldn't possibly be trusted to handle this issue for Tess, and only her mom could. So I say, what do you need? I got this. And the nurse is forced to acknowledge me, and she's like, okay, well, they might need your medical records number, and if they do, it's... So I interrupt her here, and I say, oh, you mean 98176F? The medical records number, the E number as it's called around here, is basically a unique identifier that's assigned to Tess in this hospital system and in all the doctor's offices in Maine associated with that hospital system. The nurse is gobsmacked. She just stares at me. How did you know her E number? She asks. And I say, because I bring her to doctor's appointments constantly. As for the sedation and MRI, our goal is to be boring. Boring. Like, if we get home later that night and are like, well, that was uneventful, then that's a win. Which it was. Tess did great. They got her blood. They checked out her brain MRI, which was normal. Boring is positively glorious. Up next, we're going to monitor Tess's oxygen levels during the night. Stay tuned to this channel to find out how that goes.